I'm doing a review today on two new RTAs that came out from SMOK. These are the TF-RTA. I have the G4 and the G2. The G4 has 4 coils, the G2 has 2 coils. These are really impressive. They arrived late last night from DHL, and I gotta tell you, I got them out of the box. I was very intrigued. I started wicking this 4-coil one, and that's it. I was up till 2 in the morning playing around with this sucker. It comes with 4 Clapton coils pre-installed. You have to wick it. There's a little bit of knack to the wicking of it, but what a beast of a tank. And these were sent to me for the purpose of review. I'm sorry, there is no giveaway. I thought they sent me a tank and an extra for a giveaway, but then I realized they sent me actually 2 different tanks, the 4-coil and the 2-coil. It was late last night. I didn't want to wake up the family, so I just recorded a silent video with music, and I wanted to post that as a first look. But now I'm going to do an in-depth narrative. I'm going to show you some close-ups. I'm going to open both of these tanks up and show you how I wick them. And then I want to play around with this 4-coil at 100 watts on Vaping and RTA from SMOK Tech. And it's keeping up with the wicking. And actually, I think there was a break-in period with those coils because it's vaping and the flavor is better and better as I continue along. But less is more with the wicking. You really can't choke that cotton in there. You have to use very thin wicks so they slide through very easily, and then cut them on an angle. If you cram cotton into this thing, you're going to choke your flavor. But it's a very intense vape, as you would expect from the TF-V4 series. Now, if you take the time to learn how to wick these, you can get an excellent vape on them, put any kind of coils you want in there, and it's a true RTA. I'm very happy with the airflow. I'm very happy with the vape on this thing. It definitely is a juice guzzler, but then again, if you want to vape at 100 watts, you're going to guzzle juice. The 2-coil is a velocity-style 2-post design, dual coil, and that came pre-built with Clapton's as well. And this one has slightly better flavor, but I am vaping that one also at 80 watts, and it's just a monster. Same bass, same airflow, juice flow control, so you can actually adjust the flow of juice. If you're using some higher PG juices, some thinner juices, you can adjust that juice flow. And also you got to shut that off when you're filling the tank. But let's go take a vape on this. Incredible. The flavor on this is very rich, very dense, very nice. It's a moist vape. It is moist, and I think that with continued practice of wicking and playing around with different lengths of wick and cutting them at an angle and just getting, and in the instructions they actually tell you, cut the wick at an angle and just dip the end of that wick down into the juice slot. That works fine. There's no leaking issues if you do that. And then the better you get at tweaking the length of the wick so it just sits in there, the better your flavor is going to be. Monster tanks, beastly vaping. Let me show you some close-ups down below, and then we'll come back up top. This is the G4, the 4-coil. I want to show you the airflow is the same as the TF-V4. Same. This is not a base that comes out. This is not like, it's not an RBA section that goes in there. This is part of the tank. The whole thing is one system. They're not interchangeable with TF-V4s. Here's the juice flow. See that? Just a little maybe quarter turn, opens or closes, or anywhere in between. It's not clicky. You just slide it to that spot. And you can see the mechanics of the aperture when I take this apart. I'll show you from the underside. There is your housing. You can see in here, you can look in, well, can't see it, but you can actually look up at the coil at an angle like that. It has the same top fill system with that hinge, and that's how you top fill it. If you're not familiar with this family of products, the TF-V4 Taste Furious, that's how you fill it. It seems like they changed the design of this this rubber stopper up here. It now has these whatever, those raised ridges to hold the juice. But it will puddle up. Just get used to that. It's one of the personality quirks of this tank. And then you do have a removable drip tip, 510 size, so you can put your own drip tip, or use this one, which does have a double inner glass thing. Okay, so there you have it. Very similar, the same design as previous tanks that they've put out. Now you have the control of building your own coils, wicking them, customize your vape exactly how you like it. And here's the base, here's the 510. Notice it does not protrude very much. Do not use these with hybrid mech mods. And you know what? Don't use them with mech mods. That's ridiculous. Use it with a good regulated mod so you can adjust the wattage and the power exactly how you like it. So the base unscrews and it just pulls out. And here's the inside. Here's the quad coil build deck. Yeah, it's really, really complicated and fancy. Okay, so let's take a look down in here. I'll try this. I've been vaping on this, so if you want to see the clean version of it, just watch my my silent, no narrative, just music in the background short video. But this catches, you can see the juice flow control from underneath. This is how the juice flow control works. But let me close that up. Just showing it to you. And you're not supposed to poke around at it with tweezers like I am right now. It's very well crafted in there. Nice machining. Good job on that. And it's a nice wide chamber there. So the chamber is part of the upper part of the tank. Let's look at this deck. As you can see, 4-post design. The leads go one up, one down. So here's the top leg of this coil right here, clamps in with that screw, and the bottom leg clamps in down here. So you feed it down into the juice channel and it clamps in right there. You can see that that's the bottom leg of this coil right in there, clamped in with that screw. So that's interesting. This ring here is a guide, and what you're meant to do is just tuck the wick. I tried doing it one wick straight through and it got very choked up. So then I cut the wicks between each coil, and I cut them at an angle and just stuffed the, here I'll show you. You just want to stuff a little bit of the bottom of the wick. These are 2 separate wicks actually. They're 4 separate wicks. That's how I did it this time. And I cut them at an angle and I just stuff the bottom edge of the wick down into that slot. That's it. That's all it needs. Nothing more. You don't want to jam that up. Just leave it loose. As long as it's in there, it'll block the juice flow. It won't leak. And the tighter you pack that cotton in there, the worse your flavor is going to be. So leave it fluffy. Leave it loose. It just has to be enough to block that off. I know it's sloppy looking, but I did want to get this video up and out so you can see how I wicked it. Later on, I'm going to rebuild this with 26 gauge Canthal, but look at that. Look at those coils. And I'm going to add some clips in here of with a little bit of music in the background. Without all the juice, without all the cotton, it's a little dark. I've been vaping this at 100 watts. No dry hits, less cotton, not more. You know, you only need enough cotton to keep it from flooding up through here into your chamber, and that's it. Okay, so enough said about that. There's really not much of a close-up story to tell here. That's it. As complex as it looks, it's actually quite simple. And these came pre-installed. Let me put this back on, and then I'll show you the 2-coil, 2-post design on the G2. They look identical. They are identical. Airflow, juice control, the housing, the base, everything's the same. Now here's the difference. I'm going to take the base off the G2, and I think I like the G2 better, although I don't know, I keep going back and forth. So this is even probably too much cotton, but if you notice, this part that's just pushed up, it's not even necessary. I could just go ahead and clip those off. They serve really not much of a purpose. I split the wick and I pushed a little bit down into there, and the other half I just pulled up, keeping it fluffy. Maybe it's doing something, maybe it's not. If I cut those with a scissor, I probably wouldn't be missing anything. All right, so now you see there's a 2-post velocity style design here with Allen screws. See that? And it did come pre-installed with these nice Claptons. Again, that guardrail is just a guide. You tuck the end of your wick down into there. I'll put the top back on, and I want to show you exactly what I did with wicking on this, how I cut the wick. I'll show you a demonstration of that. So you have your cotton. Don't go to a whole lot of trouble trying to tighten this up. Just roll it. This is cotton bacon. Whatever cotton you're using, roll it so it has a nice cylindrical shape. That's it. Keep it fluffy. And this should be slightly wider than the diameter of the coil. Slightly wider. Do not choke those coils. If you have to really force this and pull it and stretch it to get it in, it's going to be too tight. So I just twist the end. I pass it through the coil, and then pretend it's through the coil. I'm going to cut my wick like this. I'm going to bend it down, and then I'm going to cut my wick at an angle. See that angle? Here's why. The only part of this that's going to go down into that juice well is this right here. That's it. I'm going to tuck that little amount of cotton, that point, I'm going to tuck that down into the juice well, and the rest I'm going to keep fluffy, and I'm going to push up. And that is enough. That right there, that's enough cotton to stop the juice flow from the tank leaking. That's it. That's all you need. And when it's wet, that even looks smaller. There's nothing much to it. But those fibers do swell with heat and juice, and that will block the channels. That's all you need. The rest of this cotton up here will catch the rest of the juice. You're not going to have leaking issues. That's all you want. And if this is too long and this pushes up against the wall of your tank housing, if it pinches or pushes up, or you push too much cotton down into the juice well, you're gonna choke. Anytime these fibers have to bend and get pressed, it chokes the juice. So leave them fluffy. Put that much cotton, that little amount of cotton, that little point there, down into the juice well. And it doesn't need to fill the whole thing. It doesn't need to go all the way down to the bottom. Just the point sitting in, think of it like a cup, and just the point is going to sit in there. That's enough. Okay, so that's the tech up top. And I'm going to just real quick give you a rundown of what comes in the packaging in these boxes. If you're familiar with the SMOK products, then this won't be a surprise. Here's the box. There's stats on the back. There's an authenticity scratch code there, and you have QR codes. There you go. This is the box it comes in. Spare parts, extra glass sleeve. That's about it. So I just wanted to show you those real quick. No big production on the spare parts. Comes with a quality control, a little warning. And now if you detect that your tank is running dry, refill it. That's what that says. And it does say, when using the new atomizer, please drip a few drops of e-liquid onto the top center of the coil head and let the tank stand for 5 minutes to get the organic cotton completely saturated. Okay, innovation keeps changing the vaping experience. That's true. I guess that's a new slogan of theirs. Here's a spare parts packet with O-rings, an extra one of those top seals for the top filling, and an extra set of screws, which is nice. Okay, so this is the G2. It has those Allen screws. It does come with an Allen wrench tool, and it comes with one of these SMOK tank protector bands. This isn't just for looks and aesthetics. Will also keep your top swivel for the top fill from swiveling open at odd, unexpected, inconvenient times. So if you put that on there, the top fill isn't going to accidentally pop open on you. Okay, if you didn't know that, now you know. That's all that comes in the box. Oh, it does have an instruction manual, which does show you some very interesting, relevant details. It talks about how to wick this, how to cut the wicks at an angle. It gives you a little demo. I would not recommend doing one straight continuous wick. Just cut 4 separate individual wicks for the G4. And for the G2, that's a straight up dual post, dual coil velocity style build. And you cut the wicks on an angle like I told you, and you just put the points into the thing. And the G4, same thing, comes with the same set of spare parts, nothing different about that. I'm looking forward to rebuilding. Those coils did come pre-built, by the way. So you don't even have to sit there and figure out how to build this. You just have to wick it, juice it, and get going. One thing I would say, especially on the G4, pulse the Claptons a little bit more than I do in this video. Those Claptons seem like they need to be broken in a bit with some heat. Just don't go crazy and try and light up the room, but pulse them, get them glowing, look, make sure that they're all glowing evenly, get that metal warmed up and heated up before you vape it. Definitely don't skip that part. Don't just wick it and start vaping it, because they did seem to have a break-in period. So if I had it all to do over again, I would go back and pulse those coils more than I did, and then I would actually dip them in water, pulse them again to dry them out, just to get off anything that might have been, even dust or anything, on those pre-made Claptons. It felt like there was a little break-in period with those coils. But let me go ahead and vape. This is the G4. I've got it at 100 watts. And here's the vape. You can't dry hit this thing. The airflow keeps up with the wattage. The juice flow and wicking keeps up with the wattage. Well-designed tank. Beastly vaping at 100 watts on an RTA. Let's go try out the G2. The G2, I'm vaping at 80 watts. I feel like it could go higher. It's by no means the lower power to the two tanks, just because it only has 2 coils. Got a lot of room in there to put some really big builds in there, and the tank seems to want power. Make sure the juice flow is open when you're vaping. You'll learn pretty quickly if you've got your juice flow closed, a couple of hits and the cotton goes dry, you'll get a dry hit then. Awesome. Incredibly rich, dense vapor production. This doesn't heat up at all. The tank gets a little hot, especially this guy with those quad coils, but the drip tip doesn't get hot at all. chain vaping this, you will go through a lot of juice. Let's go ahead and refill this and see how high I can go before it dry hits. 100 watts. No problem. That's moist. That's not even close to full capacity. 110 watts. And I'm vaping a 3 milligram nicotine. So I'll probably be very loopy at the end of this. But I want to show you guys how high this will go. 120 watts. That vape is starting to get a little hot. A little hot. 130 watts. A little hotter. Not dry hitting yet. 140 watts on an RTA. It's not even close to dry hitting. The juice flow is keeping up. The wicking's keeping up with the wattage. That's just a really intense vape. I don't normally vape that high. I don't need that much vapor production. 150 watts. Here we go. The vape's a little more arid right now, not even close to dry hitting. I could chain vape that. That's very intense. The flavor's starting to mute down a little bit at 150. 160. Okay. The tank's very hot. The drip tip's getting hot. The vapor is like scorching. So there you go. If you like a very, very hot vape, you're gonna get it. 170 watts. I'm not comfortable right now, but it's vaping just fine. Talk about hot plasma. But you know what? It didn't dry hit. Are you guys fairly experienced vapors? You want to try something out? Do you have a drip tip? All right. I was going to offer, if you want to try this, a brand new tank. Nobody even has it yet, from SMOK Tech. It's a rebuildable. It's pretty sick. I'm recording a video right now. Hitting it at 100.
Yeah, I used to vape a lot.
All right, well, when you get tired of smoking those cigarettes, you know where to go. Vape shop.
I come here every time I come back to vaping. This is the place I usually walk.
There you go. Hey, listen, take some people a few tries. I smoked for 26 fucking years. And you know how many times I tried to quit smoking? Many.
Yeah.
Mark Twain had a quote. He said, it's easy to quit smoking. I've done it hundreds of times. It's an addiction. But you'll quit when you're ready. You're young.
What tank is like? What tank is that?
This is the SMOK Tech TF rebuildable RTA.
Is that here?
No, it's very few people even have it. Just came out. 180 watts. 180 watts. I'm pounding through juice pretty quickly, and I'm starting to get a little nicked out, quite frankly. But I want to press it. I want to hit 200. $190 watts. Ready? 190 watts. It could keep going. I just don't have the lung power for that. Here we go. 200 watts, legit. This is the Rouleau, 3 batteries. It's at like 5 point something volts. It's not maxed out. Watch this, 200 watts. That started to go a little dry. Right at the end, it started to go a little dry, and I couldn't take a long hit, but it did it. That's crazy. I wouldn't go taking 4 or 5 second pulls, but it's handling 200 watts like a champ on a rebuildable. That's crazy. I don't want to vape anymore. Thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate all your comments. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please, by all means, share it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe down below. Quest for Vape.